Welcome to tonight's sleep story. A winter night in a Santa Fe bakery, New Mexico. I'm grateful to be the voice that guides you gently into rest. Before we begin our story, let's take a moment, just for you. A moment to slow down, to soften, to settle into a space where nothing is urgent and everything can simply be. Wherever you are, in your bed, on your couch, or lying quietly in a dimly lit room, allow your body to find its most comfortable position. Let your shoulders fall. Let your jaw loosen. Let your breath become soft and natural, like a small wave rolling onto the shore. You're safe here. You're warm. And you're allowed to let go. Take a slow breath in and exhale gently. Again, slow. In and out, each breath guiding you deeper into the calm of the night. As you settle in, notice how the quiet around you begins to embrace you. The stillness of the room, the softness of the air, the gentle rhythm of your breathing. Everything is working together to support your rest. There is nothing you need to do, no responsibilities, no tasks, no pressure, just this moment and your own slow, peaceful breath. If thoughts appear, let them drift through your mind, like soft winter clouds passing across a quiet sky. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to hold them. Just allow them to float away. Gently, naturally. Right now, your only job is to relax, to soften your heart, to release the weight you've been carrying all day. Feel how every breath makes you lighter, calmer, more comfortable. This night is yours. This space is yours. This gentle journey into rest belongs entirely to you. In a few moments, I'll take you into a warm, peaceful story, a place where time slows down and the world becomes soft around the edges. But before that, let your body sink deeper into the bed beneath you. Feel the support under your legs, your back, your head. There's nothing to resist, nothing to hold up. You can melt fully into comfort. Let the quiet soothe you. Let the softness surround you. Let this moment become the doorway to deep, restorative sleep. And now, when you're ready, I'll begin tonight's story. If you've never been to Santa Fe before, let me take you there with me tonight, slowly, and in a way that lets your mind settle, like warm dust drifting in a quiet desert evening. Santa Fe isn't just a place on the map. It's a feeling, a rhythm, a soft and peaceful pulse that moves gently beneath everything we do. Santa Fe is old, older than almost any city in the United States. Founded in 1610, it's the oldest state capital in the country, and the second oldest city after St. Augustine. When the sun rises over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the light touches buildings that have stood for centuries. Chapels, adobe homes, trading posts, and the narrow roads where Spanish settlers, pueblo communities, and later American frontiersmen once walked. 1. Geography, the land that holds the sky. Santa Fe sits at 7,199 feet, 2,194 meters above sea level, making it the highest capital city in the U.S. The air here is thin, crisp, and filled with the scent of juniper and piñon trees. To the east rise the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, whose slopes turn red during sunset, the reason for their name, meaning blood of Christ. To the west, the desert opens in vast, still, golden plains, where the silence feels almost sacred. People often say Santa Fe looks painted rather than built. The colors around us feel warm and ancient. Soft clay browns, dusty rose, gentle gold, deep turquoise skies. Even in winter, when the air is cold and the hills are covered in snow, there's a calm, glowing warmth in the adobe walls that makes the whole city feel sheltered. 2. History. A city older than the country it belongs to. Long before the Spanish arrived, the land was home to Pueblo peoples for thousands of years. Even today, New Mexico has 19 active Pueblo communities, and many of their traditions remain at the heart of Santa Fe's identity. In 1692, after conflicts and rebuilding, Santa Fe grew into a multicultural crossroads. Native American, Spanish, Mexican, and later Anglo cultures intertwined. That blend still holds us together. You can taste it in our food, hear it in our music, and see it in the architecture that surrounds the plaza. Santa Fe became part of the United States only in 1848 through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Yet despite all the changes, the city has held on to its soul, quiet, enduring, unhurried, like an old friend sitting beside a warm fire. 3. Culture. The city different. That's what people call us, the city different. And it's true. Santa Fe is home to over 250 art galleries, more per capita than nearly any city in America. The famous Canyon Road alone has more than 100. Painters, sculptors, writers, and musicians from all over the world come here searching for one thing: clarity. The feeling of space, stillness, and inspiration. The desert does something to you. It slows your breath. It opens your thoughts. It invites you to rest in a way few cities can. One of our most beloved artists was Georgia O'Keeffe, whose museum here draws hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. Her paintings of flowers, bones, mountains, and vast skies capture the essence of northern New Mexico better than words ever could. 4. Architecture, where time speaks softly. Santa Fe protects its history through strict architectural rules. Buildings must maintain the adobe look, rounded edges, earth-colored walls, wooden beams known as vigas, and small, deep-set windows. Some landmarks people love include the Palace of the Governors, 1610. The oldest continuously used public building in the U.S. Today, Native American artisans sit beneath its long portal, selling turquoise jewelry and handcrafted art just as their ancestors did centuries ago. The Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi, 1869. French Romanesque architecture rising above adobe streets. Its stone glows warm under the evening light. Loretto Chapel and the Miraculous Staircase, 1878. A mysterious spiral staircase with no visible support beams. Many believe it was the work of a divine carpenter. The Santa Fe Plaza, the city's heart for over 400 years, marketplace, gathering place, celebration space. Meow Wolf, a modern, surreal art experience that draws millions of young visitors seeking adventure and imagination. 5. Food, where warmth lives in every bowl. Santa Fe cuisine is famous for its red and green chili, grown in the sunlit valleys of New Mexico. Ask anyone here what they love most, and they'll say, the smell of roasting chile in autumn, tamales, blue corn tortillas, pozole, atole. These are dishes passed down for generations, warm and comforting, especially on winter nights. 6. Why people come here to heal. Visitors often tell me they sleep better in Santa Fe. Something about the altitude, the dry air, the silence of the desert at night, it wraps around you gently. The city has long been a haven for writers, spiritual seekers, and people wanting to slow down. In the evenings, the sky becomes wide and deep. The stars appear brighter because the air is thin and still. And when snow falls, it falls lightly, covering adobe homes in a soft blanket, making everything peaceful. This is the Santa Fe I know, a place where history breathes quietly, where cultures weave together like threads in a warm blanket, where the land itself feels alive yet soothing, where winter nights invite you to pause, breathe, and simply be. Tonight, as you listen, imagine the gentle glow of lanterns along the old streets, the scent of piñon wood burning in fireplaces, and the soft hush of snow settling over the desert. Santa Fe is a city of warmth in a cold season, a city that holds your thoughts gently and lets them drift like powdery snow toward rest. Thomas, the baker who grew up with flour on his hands. Thomas had been a baker for so long that the scent of warm dough felt like part of who he was. At 60 years old, he still woke up with a quiet sense of purpose, the same soft feeling he had as a teenager when his grandfather first taught him how to knead bread on a wooden table that creaked with age. Back then, the kitchen was always warm. His grandfather moved slowly, gently, never rushing. Bread rises best, he used to say, when the baker's heart is calm. Those words stayed with Thomas through every season of his life. Tonight, just like countless nights before, Thomas rose from bed with a slow stretch. The winter air pressed lightly against the windows of his cozy home in Santa Fe. Most of the world felt still. In the living room down the hall, his grandchildren were sleeping on a fold-out couch, tired from an afternoon of playing in the snow. Their small breaths rose and fell in peaceful rhythm. Thomas paused for a moment at their doorway. Just watching them breathe made him feel grounded. Steady, warm, grateful. In the kitchen, the soft glow of a single lamp lit the room. His wife, Maria, was already awake. She always woke with him on his night shifts, no matter how many times he told her she didn't have to. She handed him a scarf, freshly warmed by the heater. "Here, dear, it'll be cold tonight." Her voice was gentle, like a whisper wrapped in love. Thomas smiled as he slipped the scarf around his neck. Maria moved around the kitchen quietly, packing a small container of soup for him. She knew he would never ask, but she also knew he would forget to eat if she didn't prepare something. On the counter sat a thermos of hot tea, his favorite blend of chamomile and vanilla. Steam rose softly from the cup before she closed the lid. "You've got a long night," she said. "I want you to stay warm." He nodded, touched in a way he never fully said aloud. After decades of marriage, he didn't need to speak much. Their love rested in all the small things, in warm scarves, in packed dinners, in the quiet, steady companionship of a shared life. Thomas put on his thick coat and wool hat. When he was ready to leave, Maria stepped close and buttoned the last button for him, an old habit she never let go of. "You take care," she whispered, pressing a soft kiss to his cheek. He squeezed her hand gently, then picked up his thermos and stepped outside. The world was hushed under winter's touch. Snow from the earlier storm lay in soft blankets across the road, glowing faintly under the dim street lamps. Thomas walked carefully, his boots making slow crunching sounds in the snow. The air was crisp and cold, but fresh. He breathed deeply, letting the quiet settle over him. The streets of Santa Fe at this hour felt timeless. Adobe walls pale in the moonlight, wooden vigas casting soft shadows, and the mountains standing silently in the distance. As he walked, memories drifted through his mind like warm crumbs. His grandfather's laughter, the first loaf he ever baked, the way he burned a batch of rolls at age 14 and cried until his grandfather placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder and said, "A good baker learns from the smell of mistakes." Thomas chuckled softly at the memory. The bakery came into view at the end of the street. Its multicolored adobe door looked calm and familiar, like a friend waiting in the quiet night. He reached into his pocket, pulled out an old brass key worn by years of use, and gently slid it into the lock. The door opened with a soft creak. Warmth, flour, coffee grounds, the promise of dough and morning pastries. He stepped inside the bakery and closed the door behind him, ready for another peaceful night of baking. The bakery where Thomas worked had stood at the corner of a quiet adobe street for almost 50 years. People around Santa Fe knew it simply as Soli Pan, meaning sun and bread. A name chosen by the original owner, Senor Alvarez, who believed that bread tasted best when touched by warmth, whether from the oven or the heart. When Thomas first stepped inside as a teenager, the bakery was small and simple. Just a single room, a long wooden table, a dusty old oven, and a cash register that rang with a soft metallic ding whenever someone opened it. Over the decades, the place expanded bit by bit, never fast, never rushed, like dough rising under a warm cloth. Now, the bakery had 3 cozy rooms. A front shop filled with gentle morning light, a small seating area with mismatched wooden chairs, and a kitchen that always held the soft scent of flour, vanilla, and comfort. Every piece of furniture told a story. The counter had dents from years of elbows resting on it. The display case had little scratches from excited children pointing at sweet rolls. And the golden brown floorboards creaked in a slow, familiar rhythm, as if the bakery itself breathed. On one wall hung black and white photos of Santa Fe decades ago, snow on adobe rooftops, children playing in the plaza, and Senor Alvarez holding the first loaf he ever baked. Next to the photographs was a faded recipe card written in old-fashioned handwriting. Thomas kept it framed as a reminder of where everything began. The colors inside Soli Pan were warm and earthy. The Soli Pan were warm and earthy. The Soli Pan were warm and earthy's 9-stalk sen. Deep sienna, soft clay, gentle gold, and the turquoise accents that Santa Fe loved so much. At night, the string of small lanterns hanging near the ceiling glowed like fireflies, giving the room a peaceful, almost dreamy atmosphere. The bakery's menu had grown richer through the years, shaped by the traditions of the region. Some of the most beloved treats included Bizcoquitos, New Mexico's official state cookie, crumbly, cinnamon-scented, and lightly touched with anise. Blue corn muffins, soft, warm, and slightly sweet, made from the native blue cornmeal of the Southwest. Mexican hot chocolate rolls, spirals of dough filled with cinnamon, cocoa, and a gentle hint of spice. Piñon nut tarts, made from the local pine nuts harvested in the mountains. Anisopapillas, airy pillows of dough drizzled with warm honey. Visitors always said the bakery smelled like a blend of winter warmth and childhood memories. The bakery opened at 4:30 a.m., but Thomas always arrived an hour earlier. He was the head baker here, the one people said gave Soli Pan its soul. Every day, while the sun was still asleep behind the mountains, the bakery was already coming to life. Ovens humming softly, dough rising slowly under linen cloths, and the gentle bubbling sound of coffee brewing in the corner. During the day, Soli Pan filled with familiar faces. There was Mrs. Delgado, who came every morning for a bizcoquito and a cup of strong coffee. There was young Arthur, a college student who worked on his drawings while nibbling on blue corn muffins. There were the Martinez twins, who always argued about which jelly-filled pastry tasted better. And there was old Sam, who claimed the bakery sopapillas reminded him of his grandmother. Some evenings, families stopped by after dinner to pick up a loaf of sweet bread for the next morning. Other days, tourists wandered in, drawn by the warm glow of the lanterns and the comforting scents drifting into the quiet street. Even after Senor Alvarez grew old and passed the ownership to his daughter Elena, the family spirit remained. Elena worked the morning shift now, greeting customers with her soft smile. Beside her was Miguel, a cheerful young baker who learned from Thomas the same way Thomas once learned from his grandfather. Together, the team moved slowly and gently, rolling dough, dusting flour, shaping loaves, each motion soft, steady, almost like a quiet dance. To Thomas, the bakery felt like a second home, a place that held decades of laughter, spilled flour, shared stories, gentle mornings, and peaceful nights. As he stood at the doorway that night, letting his eyes rest on the familiar space, he felt the same warmth he had felt the very first day he entered Sully Pan. A slow breath, a quiet moment, and then, with a soft smile, Thomas stepped inside, ready to begin another calm winter night of baking. The gentle ritual of a winter night in Sully Pan. The bakery opened at 4:30 a.m., but Thomas always arrived 2 hours earlier. He was the head baker here, the steady hands and warm heart that people said gave Sully Pan its soul. Tonight, the moment he stepped inside, the bakery felt warm in its quiet way. Not warm in temperature yet, but warm in memory, in familiarity, in that soft, comforting sense that comes from being exactly where you belong. Thomas hung his coat on the same wooden peg he had used for decades. The room was still, peaceful, almost sleepy. A faint glow from the lantern string along the ceiling cast gentle golden pools of light across the tables. He inhaled deeply. The air smelled faintly of flour and vanilla, as if the bakery itself never stopped dreaming. At this hour, the world outside was calm. Please stand, bly for mind, wrapped in the soft hush of winter. The sun still slept behind the Sangre de Cristo mountains, and Santa Fe rested under a quiet blanket of cold and stillness. Inside Sully Pan, Thomas began his nightly ritual. He moved slowly, gently, not out of age, but out of respect for the craft. He turned on the ovens first. One switch, then another. A low hum filled the room, warm and steady, as if the bakery were waking up beside him. While the ovens warmed, Thomas lifted a large linen cloth off the wooden mixing table. The table was smooth in some places, worn in others. A map of all the years he had worked here. He touched it lightly, as if greeting an old friend. Then he gathered his ingredients. Bowls of flour soft as snowfall, yeast that smelled faintly sweet, salt crystals that glittered like tiny winter stars, and water so warm it felt like a quiet embrace. He measured everything with calm, practiced ease. His motions were slow, steady, rhythmic. A peaceful dance he had performed thousands of times. As he poured the warm water into the flower, a soft cloud drifted upward, floating like mist before settling gently around him. Thomas smiled. This moment, right here, was his favorite part of every night. He began to mix the dough, first with a wooden spoon, then with his hands that had held thousands of loaves, hands shaped by decades of gentle, patient labor. The dough was cool at first, but slowly grew warmer beneath his touch. As he folded it, pressed it, breathed with it. In the quiet of the bakery, each motion felt almost sacred. Fold, press. Fold, press. A slow, soothing rhythm that seemed to echo his heartbeat. Outside, the faintest breeze brushed against the windows. Inside, the dough grew smooth, soft, elastic, alive in the gentle warmth of the room. Once the dough reached the perfect texture, Thomas shaped it into a soft round ball and placed it in a wide wooden bowl. He covered it with a linen cloth, the same cloth his grandfather once used, and let it rest. In the peaceful silence of the early morning. Next, he prepared a second batch. This one for the sweet breads, blue corn muffins, chocolate rolls, and the beloved biscuititos. He cracked eggs slowly, quietly, as if not to disturb the drifting silence. He whisked them with vanilla and cinnamon, their scents rising warm and cozy, wrapping the kitchen in a soft embrace. As the ovens reached the perfect warmth, a golden glow spread across the room. Gentle heat touched Thomas's hands, his face, his breath. The bakery felt alive now. Not loud, not rushed, but calm, glowing, as if the night itself were breathing gently beside him. Thomas moved from station to station, each step slow and measured, laying out trays, dusting counters with flour, smoothing parchment paper that whispered softly beneath his fingers. Time drifted without edges. Minutes blended like warm butter. The world felt simple, peaceful, still. By the time the first dough had risen, the bakery was ready, warm, awake, and filled with the soft promise of a new morning. Thomas lifted the cloth and smiled at the risen dough, round and full, like a small winter moon. Gently, always gently, he prepared to shape it into loaves. And so the night continued, slow and warm, each moment unfolding softly, like snow falling in perfect silence. The first warm loaves come out of the oven. The timer on the oven ticks softly in the quiet bakery, its gentle rhythm blending with the warm hum of the heating racks. Thomas opened his eyes slowly, as if waking from a peaceful moment of stillness. The scent in the room had changed deeper now, warmer, richer. It was the unmistakable scent of bread reaching the perfect point of baking. He walked toward the oven with calm, unhurried steps. The lantern light behind him flickered softly, casting warm shadows that swayed across the walls. When he reached the oven, he rested his hand on the handle for a second, feeling the gentle heat radiating through the metal. Then, with a soft exhale, he pulled the door open. A wave of warm air floated out, soft and comforting, like stepping into a quiet embrace. Inside, the loaves sat proudly on the tray, their crusts turning a beautiful golden brown, their tops slightly domed, their edges glowing in the warm light. Thomas took a moment just to look at them. He always did, because this was the moment the dough finally became bread. The moment potential became something real. He reached for his thick cotton gloves, the same pair he had used for years. Slowly, gently, he slid the tray out. The metal rails made a low, soothing sound, and the heat brushed against his face like a warm whisper. When the tray was fully out, Thomas lifted each loaf with both hands, one by one, placing them onto a cooling rack made of smooth, polished wood. The sound the bread made when it touched the rack, a soft, airy puff, was one of his favorite sounds in the world. As the loaves settled, the crust began to crackle lightly, a delicate music only freshly baked bread can sing. Tiny cracks formed on the surface as the warm interior met the cooler air of the kitchen. Thomas leaned in just a little, letting the aroma surround him. It was warm, calming, deep. The smell of morning wrapped in sweetness. Steam rose gently from the tops of the loaves, curling and drifting like soft winter mist. He placed a hand near one loaf, feeling the gentle warmth radiating from it. Not touching, just sensing. It always reminded him of his grandfather's kitchen, of early mornings filled with patience, of learning that good bread takes time, and that every warm loaf carries a quiet story inside it. The bakery felt alive now. Not loud, never loud, but warm and softly awakening. Thomas carried the first tray of finished bread into the front room. The lanterns glowed softly above him. The wooden floor creaked under his slow steps, a familiar sound that soothed the silence. He set the tray onto the large oak display table. The bread sat there, steaming gently, filling the room with an aroma so comforting. It felt like a blanket woven from warmth itself. He stepped back to admire them. Round, golden, peaceful loaves. Each one a quiet promise of the morning to come. Then he smiled softly, returned to the kitchen, and prepared to check the second batch still rising in the warm, steady glow of the oven. The first warm loaves come out of the oven. The timer on the oven ticked softly in the quiet bakery, its gentle rhythm blending with the warm hum of the heating racks. Thomas opened his eyes slowly, as if waking from a peaceful moment of stillness. The scent in the room had changed deeper now, warmer, richer. It was the unmistakable scent of bread reaching the perfect point of baking. He walked toward the oven with calm, unhurried steps. The lantern light behind him flickered softly, casting warm shadows that swayed across the walls. When he reached the oven, he rested his hand on the handle for a second, feeling the gentle heat radiating through the metal. Then, with a soft exhale, he pulled the door open. A wave of warm air floated out, soft and comforting, like stepping into a quiet embrace. Inside, the loaves sat proudly on the tray, their crusts turning a beautiful golden brown, their tops slightly domed, their edges glowing in the warm light. Thomas took a moment just to look at them. He always did. Because this was the moment the dough finally became bread. The moment potential became something real. He reached for his thick cotton gloves, the same pair he had used for years. Slowly, gently, he slid the tray out. The metal rails made a low, soothing sound, and the heat brushed against his face like a warm whisper. When the tray was fully out, Thomas lifted each loaf with both hands, one by one, placing them onto a cooling rack made of smooth, polished wood. The sound the bread made when it touched the rack, a soft, airy puff, was one of his favorite sounds in the world. As the loaves settled, the crust began to crackle lightly, the loaf set in. A delicate music only freshly baked bread can sing. Tiny cracks formed on the surface as the warm interior met the cooler air of the kitchen. Thomas leaned in just a little, letting the aroma surround him. It was warm, calming, deep. The smell of morning wrapped in sweetness. Steam rose gently from the tops of the loaves, curling and drifting like soft winter mist. He placed a hand near one loaf, feeling the gentle warmth radiating from it. Not touching, just sensing. It always reminded him of his grandfather's kitchen, of early mornings filled with patience, of learning that good bread takes time, and that every warm loaf carries a quiet story inside it. The bakery felt alive now. Not loud, never loud, but warm and softly awakening. Thomas carried the first tray of finished bread into the front room. The lanterns glowed softly above him. The wooden floor creaked under his slow steps, a familiar sound that soothed the silence. He set the tray onto the large oak display table. The bread sat there, steaming gently, filling the room with an aroma so comforting it felt like a blanket woven from warmth itself. He stepped back to admire them. Round, golden, peaceful loaves, each one a quiet promise of the morning to come. Then he smiled softly. And ease life and flesh returned to the kitchen and prepared to check the second batch still rising in the warm, steady glow of the oven. Elena, the heart of the younger generation. The bells above the bakery door chimed softly, a tiny music box note drifting through the warm air. Thomas looked up, already knowing who it was. Only one person entered the bakery with footsteps that light, that gentle, that full of quiet morning energy. It was Elena. She stepped inside with a soft smile, brushing a few crystals of frost from her dark woolen coat. Her cheeks were rosy from the cold, but ruster with as possible. Her breath still a little misty, as if she were carrying a piece of the winter dawn with her. "Morning, Thomas," she whispered, her voice gentle, warm, still touched with sleep. Thomas nodded, smiling the kind of smile one reserves for someone who brings light into the room simply by being there. Elena set her knitted scarf on the hook by the door and rubbed her hands together slowly, letting the warmth of the bakery seep into her palms, into her fingers, into her bones. There was something special about her, something soft, yet steady, like a small lantern glowing in a quiet room. Though she was young, only in her late 20s, Elena carried herself with an old soul's tenderness. She belonged to the generation of quick ideas and fast-moving lives. Yet she loved everything slow, simple, and full of meaning. From the very beginning, she had told Thomas, "I don't want this bakery to ever lose the feeling of breath, the feeling of something handmade, something human." And she lived by those words every day. She walked gently. She touched things as though they could feel it. And she listened as if each loaf of bread whispered a story. She crossed the room now, her steps soft on the wooden floor, and paused beside the tray of freshly baked loaves still cooling. A dreamy expression washed across her face, one Thomas had seen many times. "Still warm," she murmured, bringing her hands close to feel the gentle heat rising like a quiet sigh from the bread. Elena loved mornings like this, the ones wrapped in stillness, 2.2. End quote. When Santa Fe was barely stirring, and the world felt tender, like a page that hadn't been written on yet. She slipped into her apron, the cream-colored one embroidered with tiny flowers by her grandmother. It was old, a little faded, but beautiful in a way only well-loved things can be. Elena tied the apron in a slow knot behind her waist, the ribbon falling softly down her back. She always moved like that, never in a hurry, always present, as if she believed the bakery would breathe more deeply if she did everything with care. Her hair was braided loosely over her shoulder, the setter, day braided, dark and soft, with a few strands escaping to frame her face. She tucked one behind her ear. As she walked toward the counter, "Did the dough rise nicely?" she asked, her voice a gentle breeze in the warm kitchen. "It slept well," Thomas said, and Elena smiled at the phrasing. She loved how Thomas talked about dough, as if it were alive, as if it were dreaming, as if bread itself had a quiet soul. Elena glanced toward the window. Outside, the winter morning was still wrapped in calm, the frost shimmering faintly, like powdered starlight scattered across the street. She took a breath, a deep, peaceful breath, letting the coolness of the world outside and the warmth of the bakery inside meet in the quiet center of her chest. This bakery meant something to her, not as a job, not as a stepping stone, but as a sanctuary, a place where time slowed down, where flour dust hung in the air like soft snow, and where she could feel connected to the generations who came before her. Her grandmother had baked. her great-grandfather had baked. And now here she was, continuing something small, and-handed DSM, but meaningful. In a world that sometimes moved too fast, Elena walked to the shelves and began to straighten the handmade ceramics, her fingers brushing each cup gently, as if greeting old friends. She hummed softly, a sleepy, velvety tune that blended with the warm air of the bakery and the faint popping sound of cooling bread. It felt like a lullaby for the morning itself. Thomas watched her move through the space, present, calm, centered, and felt grateful. Not just for her help, but for her presence, for her way of making the bakery feel even more alive. Elena belonged here, in the quiet glow, in the old wooden room, in the tiny sacred rituals of morning. She was the gentle heartbeat of the younger generation, the part that still believed in slowness, in kindness, in the beauty of things made by hand. And as she finished arranging the cups, the first golden rays of daylight began to soften the frost outside, almost as if the sun itself waited for Elena to arrive. Before beginning the day, the second tray of bread had just begun its final rise when Thomas wiped his hands and nodded toward the small wooden table near the window. "Come on, Elena," he said softly. "Let's have a moment before the day begins." Elena smiled, that quiet, familiar smile that always made the bakery feel a little brighter. She untied her hair loosely, letting a few strands fall around her face, and followed Thomas to the table. The window beside them glowed with the faintest morning light, softened through the thin frost still clinging to the glass. Thomas brought over a plate of the first warm loaves, small round ones, baked intentionally a little earlier every morning, so he and Elena could share them before the world woke up. He also set down 2 handmade clay cups filled with warm chamomile tea. Steam curled into the air like little ribbons of comfort. "This is the best part of the day," Elena whispered, settling into the chair with a soft sigh. Her voice had that velvety morning timbre, the kind that made even the simplest words feel soothing. Thomas sat across from her, leaning back just a little, letting his shoulders relax. The oven hummed quietly in the background, the sound gentle, steady, like a warm heartbeat inside the bakery. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They simply breathed in the aroma of warm bread, letting the scent calm their thoughts. Elena tore open a loaf, and the soft interior released steam that drifted upward like a quiet sigh. Still perfect, she whispered. That's the yeast doing all the work, Thomas chuckled. Or maybe it's the hands that shape it, Elena replied, her eyes sparkling. Thomas shook his head modestly, but there was pride in the soft lines around his eyes. Hands just help it along. Bread knows what it wants to become. They each took a slow bite. The crust gave way with a soft crunch. The inside melted warmly on their tongues. It was simple bread. Flour, water, salt, yeast. But somehow it tasted like a memory. Like childhood. Like belonging. After a few quiet moments, Elena lifted her cup and blew gently across the surface. Santa Fe feels different this year, she said. More gentle somehow. Thomas nodded. Did you notice the apricot tree behind the church? It bloomed early, Elena said, smiling. I saw it yesterday. Just one little blossom, peeking out like it was shy. Thomas breathed. Your grandmother used to say early blossoms were messages. Little reminders that the world is softening in its own time. Elena rested her chin on her palm, eyes dreamy. I like that. It feels like this year is whispering to slow down. Everything in Santa Fe whispers that, Thomas replied, his tone warm and calm. Even the way the light falls, even the way the adobe walls hold the morning warmth. Elena nodded. It's the only place where sunrise feels kind. Thomas looked at her for a long moment, and in his eyes was something tender, something like the affection of a grandfather watching his granddaughter grow into someone he is proud of. You've become part of this place, Elena, Thomas said. Not just the bakery, Santa Fe itself. You carry the old soul of it, the part that remembers. Elena blushed softly. It's because of you, Thomas. Everything I've learned here, it's from your hands, your stories, your patience. Thomas shook his head gently. No, you had it long before I ever taught you a thing. She smiled at him, the kind of smile that made the morning feel quietly golden. They continued eating in small bites, savoring every warm crumb, letting silence stretch comfortably between them. The bakery around them glowed softly, lantern light mingling with the pale dawn outside. After a moment, Elena spoke again. You know, sometimes I can't believe this place is really mine. Her voice was soft, almost shy. It was always meant to be yours, Thomas said without hesitation. Elena looked down at her cup, tracing the rim with her fingertip. When my grandparents grew too old to run the bakery, everyone thought the bakery would close. None of their children wanted it. She shook her head with a tiny, sad smile. Everyone had other dreams. Except you, Thomas said. Except me, she echoed, laughing lightly. She looked around the bakery at the wooden beams, the glowing lights, the shelves lined with hand-thrown pottery, the baskets waiting to be filled with fresh loaves. Her gaze softened, filling with nostalgia she wasn't old enough to have lived through, but felt deeply anyway. I used to hide under that counter when I was little, she said, pointing to the old carved wood near the display case. My grandmother would bake bizcoquitos, and she'd hand me the warm broken ones so I wouldn't go hungry while I waited. Thomas laughed gently. Your grandmother spoiled you. Yes, Elena said with a proud nod. Beautifully. And your grandfather, Thomas added, was the one who taught my grandfather how to use a stone mill. Did you know that? Elena's eyes widened. No, I didn't. 2 generations working side by side, Thomas said with a sigh. And now it's us. It was said in such a quiet, affectionate way that Elena felt her heart warm at the center. Sometimes I think they would be happy, she whispered, to see us here, keeping everything alive. They'd be more than happy, Thomas said. They'd be proud. Very proud. Elena bit her lip touched, emotional, but relaxed. They continued sipping tea, letting the warmth seep into their hands. Outside, the frost had begun to soften, melting into delicate droplets that slid slowly down the window pane. Do you ever wonder, Elena asked softly, what you would be doing if you weren't a baker? Thomas took a deep breath, thinking. A long moment passed. No, he finally said with a gentle smile, not once. Elena laughed softly. Not even a tiny bit? Not even the size of a grain of flour, he replied, eyes twinkling. She leaned forward. Why do you love it so much, Thomas? He looked at his hands for a moment, the hands worn with decades of kneading, shaping, guiding. Because bread is alive, he whispered, and because the world feels peaceful when you're making it. Slow, honest, like breathing with purpose. Elena nodded, her eyes shining. And now, Thomas continued, his voice soft as warm steam, I get to teach someone who actually understands what it means. That's a blessing, Elena, a real one. She blinked, touched deeply. Thomas, working with you is a blessing for me, truly. They smiled at each other in the calm hush of dawn. Outside, the first light finally broke across the distant mountains, casting the bakery in a soft, golden glow. The oven beeped gently. The second batch was ready. Thomas stood slowly. Time to bring the next dream to life. Elena stood too, tying her apron once more. But before she followed him back to the kitchen, she paused, looked around the bakery, and whispered, "This place, it's home." And Thomas, with a heart full of quiet warmth, replied, "It always will be. It always will be." The next batch of dough was resting quietly, rising in its own soft rhythm when the tiny bell above the bakery door chimed. A gentle, delicate sound, like a small silver note drifting through warm air. Ling, ling. Elena smiled the moment she heard it. "That must be Mrs. Marisol," she whispered, her voice slow and silky, like steam floating from a cup of warm tea. And she was right. Mrs. Marisol stepped inside. A small, elderly woman wrapped in a thick wool shawl, her breath still carrying the coolness of the winter dawn. But as soon as the door closed, the warm, tender air of the bakery wrapped around her, like a familiar embrace. "Buenos dias, mi cielo," she said softly, her voice soothing and deep. "Good morning, my little one." Elena moved toward her gently, placing a warm hand on the woman's arm. "In the way someone greets family. You're early today, Mrs. Marisol," Elena murmured, "in trust," end quote, end quote, end quote, end quote. Her tone warm and sleepy. "I couldn't rest anymore," the woman smiled. "And besides, I missed the smell of your bread." Thomas let out a soft chuckle, low and comforting. "We have pan dulce fresh out of the oven." Mrs. Marisol opened her woven basket, the same basket she had used for nearly 20 years, and set it on the counter. The basket made a soft, tender sound, like dried grass whispering. "8 of the regular ones," she said. "3 cinnamon and 2 anise." Elena placed each warm loaf into the basket, with slow, careful movements, as if laying down little pieces of comfort. Every loaf made a faint, soothing rustle as it settled into place. "Thank you, my dears," she whispered. "On cold mornings like this, a basket full of warm bread is happiness enough." She left the bakery slowly, carrying warmth with her, leaving behind only the soft scent of winter air. The bell chimed again, a gentle, airy chime that floated softly through the bakery. This time it was Mr. Joseph, a tall man with a silver mustache and a beloved old coat that looked as comfortable as he did. "Morning, family," he said, his voice warm and cheerful, yet soft enough to melt into the cozy air like caramel. Thomas nodded at him with affection. "Good morning, Joseph. Still 2 loaves for you and your wife?" "Yep," he grinned. 2 loaves for 2 old folks." He laughed, a raspy, cozy sound, like fire crackling softly in a fireplace. Elena handed him 2 warm rolls wrapped in parchment. He inhaled deeply, closing his eyes as if absorbing warmth straight into his bones. "This smell," he murmured. "It's better than any medicine." "It's cold today," Elena whispered, her voice drifting lightly like winter breath. "Yes," Joseph nodded, "but your bread warms the whole day." He left quietly, a little trail of frost melting from his coat. As the door closed behind him, another soft chime. 2 quick notes and 1 long one. Everyone knew that pattern. It was Mr. Arturo. The old painter entered slowly, wrapped in a faded coat, but glowing with calm, gentle energy. His eyes were bright, the kind of brightness that belongs to those who live among colors and memories. "Smells wonderful," he whispered, breathing in deeply. This scent could make a man cry with nostalgia. Elena laughed softly. "How many today, Mr. Arturo?" "Just 1, he said. 1 small one, for my morning coffee and my sketchbook." Thomas picked the loaf he knew Arturo loved. Thin crust, soft middle, a whisper of cinnamon. When Arturo tried to pay, Thomas shook his head slowly. "You gifted us those beautiful paintings. This bread is on us." The old man bowed his head, his voice trembling with gentle gratitude. "Your kindness is warmer than any oven." He slipped out quietly, leaving behind a small swirl of cool morning air. Soon after, the door chimed again, but this time the sound was tiny, shy, like a little bird tapping at a window. It was Alma, the youngest regular, 10 years old, cheeks rosy from the cold, hugging her scarf tightly. "Hello, Mr. Thomas. Hello, Miss Elena. Windy nights," her little voice, soft as snow drifting down. Elena bent to her height, her smile gentle, warm like morning light. "Out early again, Alma?" "Yes," she nodded. I want to buy 2 sweet rolls for my mom and dad. It's very cold today, so I want them to have something warm, efritet. Her voice wavered with a mix of shyness and love. Thomas handed her 2 small rolls, the softest ones, still warm enough to fog the air. Elena added, "These are the best ones today, just for them." Alma's eyes shone like little stars. "Thank you." She slipped out the door with tentered, her footsteps barely audible, like flakes of snow landing on a quiet roof. As the morning brightened, more familiar faces arrived, each one bringing their own little ritual, their own gentle warmth. That Omer's gentle warmth. The couple who always shared a single loaf had. The school teacher who bought a bag full for her students. In quote, every one. That censure by the Resident. .com. The elderly man who always asked, "Any new flavors today? Any new flavors today?" The woman who had bought the same 2 loaves every morning for 15 years. The young artists who came for inspiration, Mana, in Fountain Tuwana, that his'n daughters. One provences for Mana. The neighbors who stayed to chat softly while bread cooled red. Each person carried a bit of winter chill into the bakery, and each one left carrying a piece of warmth with them. Warmth from the bread, from the glowing lights, from the slow, peaceful air. The bakery breathed with the neighborhood, soft and steady, like a gentle heartbeat. The smell of warm dough drifted through the room like a lullaby. Laughter landed softly on the wooden shelves. Voices floated in a calm, soothing rhythm. And Thomas, watching Elena greet each person with kindness, with warmth, with the quiet grace of someone who belongs, felt something tender rise in his chest. This bakery was not just a place. It was a small sanctuary, a winter shelter of light and calm, a place where every person who entered became family, if only for a moment. A place where the world slowed down, where breath softened, where hearts settled, where warmth lived. A place that carried people through the cold mornings with gentle hands and warm bread. A place that whispered softly to everyone who stepped inside, "You're safe here. You're warm here. You belong here." The morning light outside grew softer, a pale winter glow drifting gently across the frosted pavement. Inside Sol Y Pan, the warm air shimmered with the scents of rising dough, cinnamon, and fresh coffee, a quiet, comforting cocoon against the cold day. The bell above the door chimed again, but this time the sound carried a different rhythm. Not the familiar ting of local regulars, but something lighter, curious, almost musical. Elena glanced up, and Thomas instinctively paused what he was doing. A couple stepped inside, young, glowing, wrapped in travel scarves and soft winter coats, dusted with tiny flecks of frost. They looked around with wide, wondering eyes, the way only travelers seeing a place for the first time do. The man held the woman's hand gently, as though the entire city were a secret he was guiding her through, and the woman pressed close to him, her cheeks rosy, her smile warm, her excitement delicate and bright. "Good morning," the man said softly. His voice carried that tender tone of someone still wrapped in happiness. "Good morning," Elena replied warmly, stepping forward with her soft, gentle energy. "Welcome to Solipan." The woman exhaled a long, relaxed breath. One of those breaths people make when they stumble upon a place that feels unexpectedly safe, warm, and soothing. "Oh, it smells incredible in here," she whispered, her voice drifting like soft feather-light air. "So cozy, so peaceful." Thomas smiled, feeling an old familiar pride glow inside his chest. Bread does that. It warms people from the inside out. "Are you visiting Santa Fe?" he asked quietly, careful not to break the gentle stillness of the bakery. The woman laughed sweetly. "We are. It's actually our honeymoon." Her husband nodded, squeezing her hand with quiet affection. "We've only been here 2 days. Everyone told us Santa Fe was magical in winter. So here we are. www. I watchin'." Elena's eyes lit up. "Oh, congratulations. Then we must make sure your honeymoon is unforgettable." She gestured for them to sit, and the couple chose a small wooden table near the window, where soft sunlight rested gently like a warm blanket. Thomas brought over 2 cups of tea, steaming, fragrant, the kind of tea that warms the hands and softens the breath. The woman cupped the warm mug and sighed, her voice dropping into a soft, sleepy murmur. "This is perfect." Elena sat with them, smiling. "Tell us," she said softly, "what would you love to experience while you're here?" The man looked around the bakery with childlike wonder. We want to see the best places, the beautiful ones, the quiet ones, the ones locals love. There is locals love. There is locals love. He paused, then laughed gently. Honestly, we don't even know where to begin. Elena rested her chin lightly on her hand, a playful gesture full of warmth. Oh, Santa Fe has so many treasures. We'll show you where to start. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice to a soft, calming tone, as though sharing secrets carried on a winter breeze. 1. Start with the plaza. It's the heart of Santa Fe, Elena said. In the early morning, the plaza feels peaceful, almost dreamlike. Soft light on adobe walls. Quiet footsteps on brick paths. It's one of the most soothing places in the city. Thomas nodded. And if you're hungry later, it's last round. And if you're hungry later, try the small tamale stand on the corner. Best in town. Simple, warm, comforting. The couple smiled, already picturing it. 2. Then wander Canyon Road. If you enjoy art, Elena continued, Canyon Road is like stepping into a gentle daydream. Galleries filled with color, history, and handmade craft. Sculptures peeking between quiet gardens. And oh, the winter light there. She sighed softly, as though remembering it herself. It makes every painting glow, like it's alive. The woman leaned closer, enchanted. That sounds wonderful. It is, Thomas added with a soft smile, especially when the snow falls lightly. 3. And don't miss the Japanese spa. The woman's eyes widened. Santa Fe has a Japanese spa? Elena nodded, her tone relaxing further. Almost a whisper now. Oh yes, 10,000 waves. Up in the hills. Warm baths in cool mountain air. Quiet, serene, like floating in a soft dream. She smiled. Perfect for honeymooners. The couple exchanged a delighted glance. 4. Try dinner by the fireplace at La Boca. Warm lighting, Thomas said. Good wine. Spanish dishes. Quiet music. It's one of those places where time slows down in the best way. There was never flash to real in the best way. The man exhaled with a soft, happy laugh. I think we're falling in love with this city already. End quote. 5. And the sun sets. Elena looked toward the window, as though searching for the memory of evening light. "The sunsets in Santa Fe," she whispered, "are soft and glowing. Gold, rose, lavender. They settle gently over the land, like a blanket being pulled over the day. Let's one to our bio-sea." The woman's eyes softened. "That sounds beautiful." "It is," Elena said. "You must watch at least one from the overlook at the ski basin. The air is chilly, but the quiet, down bottom present. The colors, the peace. It feels like the sky is breathing." The couple held hands under the table, their smiles tender and sleepy. "What about breakfast?" the woman asked. "Where should we eat tomorrow?" Thomas laughed gently. "Here, of course." Everyone chuckled softly, the kind of warm laughter that drifts slowly through the air, like the smell of fresh bread. Elena added, "We'll make something special for you." The woman relaxed back in her chair, breathing slowly, as if letting the warmth settle deep into her. "It's so calming here," she murmured. "I could fall asleep." Thomas smiled. "That means you're truly in Santa Fe. This city has a gentle soul." The couple finished their tea, lingered a few more minutes, and then stood to leave. "It's our first morning here," the man said softly, "and you've already made it unforgettable. Come back tomorrow," Elena whispered warmly. "We'll be waiting." The couple walked out into the soft winter air, leaving behind 2 empty cups and a gentle feeling of peace. As the door closed behind them, the bakery felt even cozier, as though their happiness had left a faint glow behind. Thomas turned to Elena with a quiet smile. "Good people," he said. "The best kind," she replied, and the soft morning calm settled once more around Soul Wai Pan, warm, steady, like a lullaby made of bread and light. The steady rhythm of the morning continued. Soft conversations, gentle footsteps on the wooden floor, the warm scent of fresh dough drifting like a quiet lullaby through Solapan. Thomas and Elena worked side by side, moving in an unspoken harmony that only years of shared mornings could create. Outside, the winter light had thickened, blurring softly against the window panes. A hush lay over Santa Fe, a stillness so tender that it felt as if the entire town were wrapped beneath a warm blanket of calm. Then, The bell above the door chimed. Not the quick, familiar ring of regular customers, nor the shy flutter from travelers passing through. This time, the sound was slow, deep, almost hesitant. Elena turned toward the door, and Thomas looked up instinctively. A man stepped inside, tall, wrapped in a long wool coat, the color of midnight. Snowflakes clung to his shoulders and hair, melting slowly, gently, as though reluctant to leave him. But what struck both Thomas and Elena was not his height, nor the polished leather bag at his side, but his eyes, warm, kind, tired in a way that suggested many miles traveled, and many heavy thoughts carried quietly. He stood for a moment, closed the door behind him slowly, and took a long breath. A breath that softened his shoulders and eased something deep inside him. "Good morning," Elena greeted him gently, her voice warm enough to soften even a winter chill. "Good morning," the man replied, his tone low but sincere, like a soft hum. Thomas approached with his usual quiet kindness. "First time in Santa Fe?" The man nodded. "Yes, I arrived last night. Someone told me this bakery was worth waking up early for." Elena's smile grew. "We're honored he said that." The man walked toward the counter, slowly, as if letting the warmth seep into him with each step. "I'm a writer," he said softly. A writer. In wanting why. A writer. When the bearing wanting why. A writer. When the bearing wanting why. When the bearing wanting. When the bearing wanting. When the bearing wanting. When the bearing wanting. I travel often, looking for quiet places with stories. He paused, looking around the bakery. "This place feels like it has many." Thomas let out a soft, warm chuckle. "Oh, it does. Some stories are baked right into the walls." The man smiled, the first true smile they had seen from him. "I'd love something warm," he said. "Anything you recommend?" Thomas handed him a small plate, with a fresh concha still warm from the oven. The man wrapped his hands around it, closing his eyes for a moment. As the heat drifted slowly into his fingers, "That smell," he whispered. "It reminds me of my grandmother." His voice softened, almost drifting away. "She used to bake every winter morning." Elena pulled out a chair at a small table near the window. "Please, sit, rest." He did. The warm light from the bakery lamps pooled gently over his face, softening the lines of tired travel, smoothing the weight he carried in his chest. For a moment, he simply breathed, slowly, deeply, like someone rediscovering the simple comfort of stillness. Then he spoke quietly. "I'm writing a book," he said. "One about places that feel like home, even to people who've never been there before." Elena and Thomas exchanged a glance. "And this place feels like that?" Thomas asked gently. The man nodded, his fingers tracing the edge of his warm cup. "Yes, there's something about the light here. The warmth, the quiet hum of the morning. It feels." He searched for the right word, and when he found it, his voice softened to a whisper. "Restful." Elena sat across from him, her elbows resting lightly on the table. "What made you come to Santa Fe?" she asked. The man exhaled softly. "Life has been loud, too loud." He looked down at his hands. "I needed a place to breathe again." Thomas nodded knowingly. "Santa Fe has a way of healing people without ever trying." The man looked up, eyes shimmering faintly. "I believe that." For a while, the three sat together in a gentle silence, the kind of quiet that feels warm and soft around the edges, a quiet that invites peace, the way a warm blanket invites sleep. Snow continued drifting outside, falling slowly, softly, like white feathers settling on the world. The man lifted his concha, took a bite, and closed his eyes. A long breath escaped him, soft, relieved, almost like a sigh of gratitude. "This," he murmured, "is exactly what I needed." Thomas placed a gentle hand on the table. "You're welcome here any time." The man nodded, a warm smile forming. Before he left, he took out a small notebook with a black leather cover worn around the edges. He scribbled something carefully, tore out the page, and handed it to Elena. "For you both," he said. "A small thank you." Elena unfolded the paper. It read, "Some places feed the body, but rare places, like this, feed the soul." She pressed a hand to her heart. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The man slipped his notebook into his coat and walked to the door. "See you tomorrow?" Elena asked softly. He smiled, a peaceful, settled smile. "Yes, tomorrow sounds perfect." And as he stepped back into the quiet winter morning, the bell chimed softly, like a lullaby fading into the cold air. The gentle visitors at the window. As the morning slipped into a deeper quiet, the soft winter light outside thickened into a muted silver glow. The bakery felt warmer than ever, a small haven against the cold world beyond its walls. The scent of fresh bread drifted lazily through the air, slow and comforting, like a warm blanket inviting anyone near it to breathe a little softer. Thomas was wiping down a wooden counter when he noticed a faint flutter outside the window. A gentle movement, quiet as a whisper. He walked closer. On the wide adobe windowsill, 3 plump pigeons had settled themselves, as though the bakery were their morning resting place. Their feathers puffed up against the cold, tiny feet tucked neatly beneath their soft bodies. They blinked slowly, heads tilting in small, peaceful rhythms. Elena walked over beside him. "Oh," she whispered, her voice dipped in warmth. "They're back." Thomas smiled. "They always come when the air feels like snow." Elena gently opened the window just enough to let in a slow breath of cool air. The pigeons cooed softly, a sound so tender it almost blended with the quiet hum of the bakery. Thomas reached under the counter and pulled out a small tin. Their special tin of crumbs. Elena always saved the softest pieces of bread for mornings like this. "Here you go, little friends," Thomas murmured, sprinkling a small handful of crumbs onto the sill. His voice was low and soothing, as if speaking to creatures made of fragile winter light. The pigeons shuffled closer, their small feathers trembling gently, their heads bobbing in slow, grateful motions. Elena watched them with soft eyes. "There's something so calming about them." Thomas nodded. "They remind me to slow down, to breathe, to just be." The pigeons cooed again, a long, velvety sound that melted into the warm air of the bakery, like a lullaby carried on the breeze. One of them, the smallest, leaned its head against the wooden frame, as though resting. Another tucked its beak beneath its wing, settling into a tiny puff of calm. Elena whispered, "They trust us." Thomas's voice softened even more. "They know kindness when they feel it." The warm, buttery light of the bakery gathered around the birds, making their feathers glow faintly, like soft silver threads. Snow began to fall again outside, slow, drifting flakes that landed gently on the adobe ledge. The pigeons blinked up at them, content and unbothered, as if the snow were just another quiet blessing of the morning. "Well," Elena said softly, "should we give them names?" Thomas chuckled, a warm, sleepy sound. "Why not? They practically live here." Elena pointed at the largest one. "That one looks like a Henry." Thomas nodded. "Agreed." She pointed at the second. "And this one feels like a Clara." "Perfect." Her eyes softened as she looked at the smallest, who was still curled into a tiny puffball. "And that sweet one should be Luna." Thomas smiled deeply. Luna, it is. For a moment, they all simply stood there. Thomas, Elena, Henry, Clara, and little Luna, gathered in a shared silence that felt warmer than any fire. Customers continued talking quietly behind them. Cups clinked softly, and the bakery's gentle rhythm carried on. But the window felt like its own tiny world. A world of feathers, warmth, snow, and soft, grateful breathing. After a while, the pigeons finished their crumbs and fluffed their wings gently. Henry took off first, lifting into the soft air with a slow, graceful beat. Clara followed, gliding up into the drifting snow. Luna hesitated, then hopped lightly to the edge and flew upward, feathers catching the light like tiny sparks. Elena exhaled softly, a breath that felt like a small release of joy. They always make the morning sweeter. Thomas closed the window gently, keeping the warmth inside. They remind us, he said, that even in winter, something tender always finds its way here. And for a long moment, the bakery felt like it was glowing, not just with ovens and lamps, but with the soft, gentle blessing left behind by 3 small visitors on a snowy Santa Fe morning. Gentle closing reflections as you drift deeper into rest. Sink softly into this final moment of calm. A moment when life becomes simple again, gentle again, beautiful again. Life, at its heart, is made of quiet goodness. It is made of soft mornings, warm hands, honest work, small joys, and simple kindness that moves quietly through the world. Like a warm breeze across winter fields, the world is gentler than you think. People are kinder than you expect. And nature hums with a tenderness that is always here, waiting for you to hear it. Let yourself feel that now, the gentle beauty of human beings who wake each day just trying to love, to work, to care, to do their best in the quiet corners of their lives. Feel the truth of it, that goodness exists everywhere, hidden in laughter, woven into shared bread, resting in the soft silence between 2 people who trust one another. Feel how abundance moves softly around you. The abundance of the earth, the fullness of sky above you, the quiet nourishment of sunlight, the generosity of rain, the patient richness of soil. This world is far more generous, far more loving, far more abundant than your waking mind remembers. Let the softness of nature surround you now. The slow drifting snow, the silver dawn, the tender hum of wind. moving through trees like a quiet lullaby. Let the peaceful world remind you that you belong to it, that your presence matters, that your life is woven into the vast tapestry of everything gentle and alive. You are part of this softness, part of this beauty, part of this ancient breathing earth. You are not separate. You are not alone. You are an essential thread in the warm fabric of the universe. The same peaceful energy that guides flowers to bloom and snow to fall is within you too. The same quiet intelligence that shapes rivers, carves mountains, and wakes birds at dawn rests softly inside your chest. You are a child of this universe. Gentle, important, necessary. Life flows through you. Goodness flows through you. Calmness flows through you. Rest in that truth. Soften into it. Let it hold you, the way warm light holds the horizon. Everything in this world is already enough. And you? You are already enough, too. Let these reflections drift through your sleepy mind, like feathers moving across quiet water. Soft, slow, peaceful, soft, reminding you that life does not need to be heavy to be meaningful. Let yourself fall deeper into the sweetness of this moment, wrapped in warmth, wrapped in gentleness, wrapped in the soft understanding that this world is good, and you are good, and everything is unfolding as softly as it needs to. Sleep now in the comfort of knowing that the simple, tender world is holding you gently in its arms. Outside, the gentle world of Santa Fe began shifting once more. Snowlight, delicate snow, started to drift from the pale morning sky. Not the heavy kind, nor the hurried kind, just quiet flakes, soft as powdered sugar, floating slowly through the sunlight. The sun had climbed a little higher, casting a tender golden wash over the adobe walls outside. The combination of sunlight and falling snow gave the whole street a dreamy glow. Warm light, meeting cool air, soft brightness blending with stillness. Inside Sol Y Pan, the bakery felt like a warm pocket in the middle of winter. People came and went in a steady, soothing rhythm. Footsteps soft on the wooden floor, conversations low and gentle, cups clinking with a warm, sleepy sound. There was no rush, no noise, no sharp edges to the morning, just a quiet flow of life, peaceful, cozy, and quietly prosperous. Exactly the way Thomas loved the bakery to be. Elena handed a small bag of pastries to an older woman. "Have a lovely morning," she said warmly. "You too, dear," the woman replied, her scarf dusted with snowflakes. As the woman stepped outside, Elena glanced toward the clock on the wall and then toward Thomas. "It's almost time for your shift to end," she said softly. "Michael should be here any minute. Has to settle it." Thomas wiped his hands on his apron and let out a long, gentle breath. The kind of breath someone releases when they feel both tired and fulfilled. "I suppose you're right," he murmured. Elena stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his arm. "You've been here since before dawn. Go home. Rest. Be with your family." Her voice drifted like a soft stream of warmth. Thomas smiled. "You're a good boss, you know." Elena shook her head affectionately. "I learned from the best." Just then, the door swung open, and a gust of cold air slipped inside. Michael stepped in, tall, cheerful, brushing snow off his coat. "Morning," he called out. "Morning," Thomas and Elena replied. "You're right on time," Elena said. Michael grinned. "Ready to take over." Thomas untied his apron, folded it neatly, and hung it behind the counter. He gathered a small paper bag. Inside were 3 warm pastries. He baked specially every morning for his grandchildren. Before leaving, he turned back toward Elena. "Take care of the place." "I always do," she replied. He gave her a small nod and stepped out into the bright winter air. The walk home. Outside, the light snow continued to fall. Soft, slow, peaceful. Each flake drifted with such a gentle rhythm that the world seemed to move in slow motion. Thomas tucked his scarf around his neck and began walking down the familiar street. His boots pressed into the thin layer of snow with soft, muffled crunches. The sunlight glowed brighter now, reflecting off the frosted rooftops and turning the snowflakes into tiny sparks of silver. Santa Fe looked like a serene painting. Quiet streets, warm adobe colors, pale blue sky stretching above, like a calm, endless blanket. He passed by small shops, still waking for the day. A pottery studio with its sign hanging softly, a bookshop where the owner was sweeping the doorstep, and a cafe where 2 friends sat outside, wrapped in blankets, sipping something warm. "Morning, Thomas," the bookshop owner called. "Morning," Thomas replied with a soft smile that warmed his aging face. The walk home was never long, but in winter, it felt particularly beautiful, as though each step carried him deeper into a gentle world wrapped in silence. The cottonwood trees lining the street held tiny clumps of snow on their branches. A few flakes drifted down each time the breeze whispered through. Thomas breathed in the cold air slowly, letting the freshness settle into his chest. The quiet of the morning made everything feel calm, soft, almost sleepy. He always loved this time of day, when he left behind the warmth of the bakery and walked into the quiet embrace of the morning world. Home, his small adobe home, came into view, warm-colored and familiar, with a thin trail of smoke rising from the chimney. A good sign. His wife, Margaret, was awake. Thomas opened the gate, walked up the short path, and stepped onto the porch, dusted with snow. He opened the door quietly, careful not to wake the children. The home was warm, gently warm, the kind of warmth that settles into your bones. Margaret was in the kitchen, wearing her cozy wool shawl, stirring something on the stove. She turned and smiled, a smile that still warmed him. After decades together, "You're home early," she whispered. Elena insisted. Thomas replied softly, "What a good girl." He lifted the bag of pastries. "For you and the little ones." Margaret's eyes lit up. "They'll be thrilled." On the living room floor, two small bodies lay curled beneath blankets. His grandchildren, still deep in sleep. One of them shifted slightly, letting out a tiny, sleepy breath. Soft, warm, rhythmic. Thomas felt his heart melt a little. He walked over quietly, placed the warm pastries on the table so the sweet smell would greet the children when they woke, and gently tucked the blanket closer around them. Margaret whispered from behind him, "They adore you." He smiled. "I adore them more." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Sit, rest. I'll make tea." Thomas lowered himself into his favorite chair, the one near the window, where morning light always slipped in gently. Snow continued to fall outside. Slow, quiet, soft as a lullaby. Margaret placed a warm cup in his hands. He wrapped his fingers around it, closed his eyes, and let out a long, peaceful breath. The house, the warmth, the soft sound of sleeping children, the scent of pastries. It all blended into one gentle symphony of home, a simple morning, a warm morning, a blessed morning. And as Thomas sipped his tea, he felt something settle inside him, a quiet knowing that life, in all its simplicity, was full and enough and profoundly beautiful. Take a slow breath and let the world around you soften, little by little. You've wandered with us through a gentle morning in Santa Fe, through warm ovens, soft light, fresh bread rising like peaceful clouds, and a quiet world wrapped in winter's tender hush. You've walked beside Thomas, through snow-dusted streets glowing beneath a sleepy sun. You've stepped into his small adobe home, feeling the warmth of family, the hush of early morning, the love woven into simple moments. So now, let all those images settle around you, like soft, warm blankets. Let yourself drift. Let yourself melt into the quiet. Tonight, you are safe. Tonight, you are warm. Tonight, you are allowed to rest. Deeply, gently, completely. Just breathe. And let your breath become slow. So slow. Like falling snowflakes drifting through morning light. In, soft and steady. Out, even softer. Feel your body grow heavier, more relaxed, as if the peaceful winter in Santa Fe is settling into your muscles, your bones, your breath. You are sinking into comfort, into an inner softness, as gentle as freshly baked bread still warm from the oven. Picture Soul-Y Pan now, quiet after the morning rush, the oven's cooling, the wooden counters smooth and glowing in the afternoon sun. Imagine the lingering scent of warm pastries, floating through the air like a lullaby. Imagine the little pigeons outside, returning to the windowsill, their feathers puffed like tiny pillows, their soft coos drifting like the faintest whisper of peace. The world is so quiet here, so gentle, so safe. Let your breath match that soft quiet. A slow inhale, a slow exhale, melting you deeper into rest. You are surrounded by softness, the softness of a calm winter day, the softness of warmth meeting cold, the softness of a heart at peace. Life, you see, is made of moments like these. Simple moments, quiet ones, moments shaped by people who love what they do, who love the places they belong to, who love their families in small, beautiful ways. Think of Thomas walking home with warm pastries, placing them gently on the table for the little ones still dreaming. Think of Margaret stirring tea on the stove, waiting for her husband to return from the bakery. Think of Elena in the warm glow of the ovens, caring for the shop, for the customers, for the little world she's building. These are the small threads that weave a life worth living. These are the moments that make winter warm. Let them rest softly on your mind, not as stories to think about, but as feelings, as warmth, has quiet light glowing inside your chest. You've done enough for today. You've tried enough, worked enough, given enough. Now it's time to rest. Deeply, beautifully, fully. Let the quiet of Santa Fe hold you. Let the soft snow lull you. Let the warmth of the bakery curl gently around your thoughts like a cozy scarf. Every breath takes you deeper, softer, warmer, safer. Feel your body sinking into the bed beneath you. Feel the heaviness in your shoulders, your arms, your legs. A sweet, delicious heaviness that only comes when the world finally says, "It's okay. You can rest now." Feel your face soften, your jaw loosening, your forehead smoothing. Feel the calm spreading through your chest, your stomach, your back, like a warm loaf of bread cooling slowly on the counter. Your body is settling into its perfect place of rest. Outside the bakery, the winter sun rises gently as snow continues to fall. Quiet, steady, a soft hush over the whole world. Imagine the snow landing softly on rooftops, tree branches, window ledges. Imagine the peaceful silence that follows each snowfall, a silence that reaches deep into the heart. Let that silence reach you now. Let it settle into your thoughts. Still them, soothe them, slow them down until they feel like snowflakes. Light, gentle, floating away. If a thought appears, let it pass. Let it drift. Let it fall softly into the quiet. You are safe here. You are warm here. You are home here. Life is made of mornings like these. Simple, beautiful mornings, shaped by love, by work done with care, by the people we cherish, and by the places that welcome us, just as we are. Winter is warm because of the people who fill it, the bakers, the dreamers, the families, the little moments of kindness that glow like candles in the cold. And now, winter is warm because you are wrapped in comfort, in softness, in peace. Let sleep come for you slowly, like the way morning sunlight slides across a wooden table. Let it move gently up your body, your feet, your legs, your belly, your chest, your arms, your hands, your neck, your face. Let the warmth travel through every cell, every breath. You are sinking so deeply, so peacefully into a stillness that feels like home, Let yourself go. Let yourself drift. Let yourself surrender to the sweetness of rest. Tonight, sleep is not just sleep. Tonight, it is a gift. A warm, fragrant gift. Like a loaf of bread fresh from the oven, waiting for you alone. Let yourself fall into this gift, into this comfort, into this softness. Sleep deeply now. Sleep sweetly. Sleep safely. Sleep as if the whole world is tucking you in with gentle hands. Good night, dear one. Good night, gentle soul. May your dreams be warm. May your rest be deep. May your heart be light. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. And let this beautiful life hold you softly until morning.
A soft dream in Santa Fe tonight as sleep settles over you like a warm blanket. Your mind begins to drift slowly, gently into a dream woven from everything soft and peaceful. In this dream, you find yourself standing on a quiet street in Santa Fe just before sunrise. The world is hushed, still, wrapped in a tender calmness that feels like breathing in warm air. Snowflakes drift lazily from the sky, not cold, but soft and velvety, melting the moment they touch your skin. Each one falls like a whisper. Rest, soften, breathe. The dream moves lightly, like a feather carried by winter wind. You glance down, and in your hands is a small paper bag full of warm pastries, still glowing with heat, as if they were little suns wrapped in softness. The bag radiates a comforting scent, fresh dough, cinnamon, and that familiar sweetness that makes the heart feel calm. As you walk, your footsteps make slow, muffled sounds on the snow. Crunch, hush, crunch, hush. A rhythm that lulls you deeper into this peaceful dream. The sun rises in gentle gold behind the adobe houses, casting long, soft shadows that sway like sleepy dancers across the ground. And as your dream self continues walking, you feel no weight, no effort, only ease, only stillness, only the warm quiet that carries you forward without asking anything of you. Santa Fe expands around you like a tender, glowing painting. Earthy walls, turquoise doors, wooden beams, warmed by decades of sun, and far in the distance, the muted silhouettes of desert hills, resting under the morning sky. The dream shifts softly, like turning a page in a book. Suddenly, you are at the edge of the high desert. The sand stretches in warm waves of pale gold beneath the soft blue of dawn. And there, waiting patiently with gentle dark eyes, is a small camel, calm, serene, with a woolly winter coat and a quiet breath that rises like warm clouds in the cool air. In dreams, Santa Fe can have anything the heart wishes for, even a desert camel, waiting to carry you into deeper peace. You climb onto its back effortlessly, your body light as wind. The camel steps forward with slow, rocking motions, a lullaby of movement. Each step is a soft sway, forward, down, back, very forward piece, forward, down, back, very forward piece, soothing, hypnotic, restful. You look across the desert, and the world feels infinite, an open space where nothing rushes, nothing demands, nothing pulls, only stillness, only warmth, only gentle breath. The dream shifts again, with the softness of snow settling. Now you are walking near an old church in Santa Fe, the kind built of adobe and love, glowing honey gold in the sunlight. Behind it is a quiet garden, and from the earth, tiny spring flowers have begun to bloom. Even in the lingering cold, they open slowly, like little sighs of color, soft yellow, pale lavender, warm coral pink, each petal unfolding as though morning light is whispering them awake. You kneel down and watch them sway in a breeze so gentle it feels like a blessing. And as they move, you feel something inside you loosen, a knot untying, a thought melting, a weight dissolving into nothing but lightness. You touch a flower petal. It feels like warm silk, like the softness of hope, like the beginning of something beautiful. The dream deepens, slows, softens, and pulls you further inward into a place beyond thought, beyond effort, beyond the waking world. You sit on a low wooden bench beneath the church's archway. Warm sunlight settles over you, glowing like a golden blanket. In this dream, time does not exist. Only warmth, only quiet, only the deep, soothing rhythm of your own peaceful breath. You close your eyes, and the dream becomes even lighter, a drifting, floating sensation, like being carried on gentle hands. In this soft inner space, you hear faint echoes, the hushed cooing of pigeons near the bakery window, the rhythmic sounds of snow landing on rooftops, the warmth of ovens glowing in the early dawn, the tender laughter shared across a table as warm bread is broken and passed. Everything merges into one long, warm, velvety sigh that wraps around your whole being, and the dream whispers, life is simple here. Life is gentle. Life is warm. Life is made of small, beautiful things. Warm pastries, soft snow, desert winds, flowers waking in the sun, quiet friendships, and a world that asks nothing of you but to be still, to breathe, to rest. Feel warmth blooming in your chest, spreading softly like morning light traveling across a quiet room. Feel your breath deepen, slow, warm, floating. Feel yourself drifting into the softest part of sleep. You are safe. You are held. You are loved. You are home. The dream draws you deeper now, down where all is peaceful, down where the heart is light, down where sleep is soft, and the world is gentle. And with every breath, you fall into deeper rest, deeper calm, deeper quiet, deeper softness, until the dream and the sleep become the same warm, glowing place. Rest here. Stay here. Sleep deeply, beautiful soul. A soft farewell for the night. And now, as your breath settles into its slow, steady rhythm, and your body melts deeper into warmth, let this final whisper carry you into the quietest part of your sleep. You have walked through a gentle world tonight, a world filled with warm light, soft stories, kind people, and the peaceful glow of a life lived simply and beautifully. Feel how all the goodness you touched, the warm bread, the silent snow, the soft morning sun, the steady heartbeat of the earth, is now resting with you, sleeping beside you, like a soft guardian made of light. You are safe. You are held. You are protected in ways deeper than thought. Let this truth settle into your bones, like warm milk settling into a cup. The night embraces you now, a gentle, velvety darkness that hums with tenderness and cradles you with the softness of the whole universe. Everything is quiet. Everything is gentle. Everything is drifting in the same slow, peaceful rhythm. And you, beautiful soul, are part of that rhythm. Let the world dim around you. Let the story fade into a sweet, warm blur. Let your thoughts melt, like snowflakes resting on warm skin. Nothing is required of you now. Nothing is heavy. Nothing is urgent. Only rest. Only breath. Only sleep. You may drift, float, soften, fall slowly, like feather-light snow, into the sweetest calm. Tonight, your heart is replenished. Your mind is washed clean. Your body is gently restored. You did enough. You are enough. You have earned this peace. And as you sleep, life will continue loving you quietly, tenderly, endlessly. The universe will hold you the way soft winds hold the desert sand, the way sunlight holds the horizon, the way warm bread holds its scent. Long after it leaves the oven, you are part of this gentle world. You belong to its softness, and its softness belongs to you. So now, fall deeper, softer, quieter, into a rest that renews you completely. May your dreams be warm. May your thoughts be light. May your sleep be deep and safe. And when morning comes, may you rise with a heart that feels full, a mind that feels bright, and a spirit that remembers. How beautiful the world can be. For now, simply rest. Let go. Sleep deeply. Good night, dear soul. Good night, gentle heart. Good night, beautiful human being. You are loved. You are cherished. You are safe. Sleep peacefully, softly, deeply. You are surrounded, filled, and renewed. As you drift deeper, softer, quieter, feel the gentle world surrounding you like a warm cocoon of light. All the goodness of life, the kindness of people, the softness of snow, the warmth of ovens glowing at dawn, the patient rhythm of the earth is gathering around you now, like a soft river, like a warm breeze, like a gentle hand resting on your heart. The world is breathing with you. The universe is holding you. Creation, in its quiet wisdom, is wrapping you in safety, calm, and deep, nourishing peace. Feel it now, the tender energy from the mountains of Santa Fe, the ancient strength of the desert, the purity of new snow, the warmth of morning sun. All of it flows toward you, through you, around you, filling your entire being with steady, comforting light. You are soaking in softness. You are soaking in calm. You are soaking in everything gentle and good. Let it move through you. Warm currents of safety, waves of kindness, streams of peace that wash slowly across your chest, your shoulders, your hands, your breath, You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are part of this universe, and the universe is part of you. You belong here. You matter. Your presence ripples softly through the world, like light gliding across water. You are a necessary thread in the tapestry of existence. Unique, irreplaceable, quietly powerful. And now, as your body sinks into deeper rest, your inner voice begins to glow with warm, steady affirmations that rise like lanterns in your dreaming mind. Let these truths settle inside you, softly, deeply, safely. I am filled with goodness. I am held by life. I am safe to rest. I am safe to breathe. I am safe to soften. Feel the warmth spreading slowly as more gentle affirmations blossom within you. I carry the energy of kindness. I carry the energy of strength. I carry the energy of peace. I am made of something gentle and bright. Your breath deepens. Your heart relaxes. Your body melts into comfort as the affirmations grow softer, deeper, truer. I deserve rest. I deserve love. I deserve ease. I deserve soft, beautiful sleep. Every part of your life hears these words. Your inner world, your relationships, your health, your future, your dreams. Each part responds to the truth. I am worthy. I am enough. I am growing. I am healing. I am becoming whole. Let these next affirmations flow through you, like warm sunlight drifting across your skin. My heart is gentle and strong. My mind is clear and calm. My body is resting and renewing. I radiate kindness. I attract kindness. I walk through life with soft strength. And now, deeper still, I trust myself. I trust my path. I trust life. Good things come to me with ease. I am aligned with abundance. I am aligned with well-being. Every cell in your body soaks up this calm energy, like dry earth soaking rain. Every part of your being relaxes into soft acceptance. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to receive. I am allowed to grow slowly. I am allowed to be at peace. Feel sweetness blooming in your chest as the final affirmations settle into your dreaming mind. I am loved. I am guided. I am protected. I am supported. I am held by the universe. And I sleep deeply, safely, peacefully tonight. Let your heart whisper back, I am light. I am softness. I am peace. Now drift, float, rest in the warm circle of goodness surrounding you. Let yourself dissolve into deep, beautiful sleep, knowing you are part of a gentle universe that cherishes your existence. You are safe. You are whole. You are loved.